Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 27th of January. So tail end of last week, we saw quite a different risk sentiment coming into the markets with a risk-off approach as the development of the coronavirus spread. Now, that's continued to spread over the course of the weekend, and we've seen many markets now open up the sessions this week at clearly much weaker prices than they closed at the tail end of last week. So let's take a look at a few markets here that we're keeping a close eye on in the trading room at the beginning of this week. So if we come and take a look at the Dow first of all, if we take a look at this on the weekly chart, we can see that the market still within the context of a strong trend here, and we've had that severe sort of retracement, but it's only just coming back into the moving average zone. So potentially sort of areas where we've had strong sell-offs before, the market sort of found resistance points or support points around this sort of zone, and the trend has started to continue. Now, at the moment, there's no guarantee that that is going to happen, of course. It's just coming back into that potential area of interest. If we come down the time frames and take a look at this on the daily chart, you can see the gap here that's been created over the course of the weekend. Something about a 200 pip gap on the Dow Futures contract. Now, clearly on this market, this just puts the price action clearly into, well, not really any sort of clear structure. We've got a bit of structure here on the 4-hour chart, which we'll take a look at in a moment. But technically here on the daily chart, the market could come all the way back into sort of 28, sort of 320, back into this previous support and resistance area before it hits any sort of significant structure. So we just got to bear that in mind as well, that there is still room to the short side. Now, if we come down to the 4-hour time frame, we can start to see a little bit more sort of structure in this price action. We can see the weekend gap here, which is sort of quite a significant gap. But one thing to remember is that very often these gaps do tend to close at some point in time. Now, whether it's going to be today or whether it's going to be sort of after today is another matter. But at the moment, quite interestingly, is the market is where it opened and where it is at the moment is sitting nicely in between two structure points that we have here on these mid time frames. So the way I'm looking at the market here at the moment for the near term is clearly the trend is weak. Clearly the trend is to the short side. If we do get a break underneath this sort of level here, there's significant support and resistance there. That could sort of open up a move down here to the 28 sort of 345 area. That is also another very significant structure level for this market, and that's very close to that 28 sort of 320 that we were looking at there on the higher time frames. So that's a rather decent sized trading window if the market sort of breaks to the low side. If we get a break above the high here, then I think we could get that's the 28.7 sort of 717 area. If we get a break above there, then I think we could be seeing a bit of strength. We could be seeing a move up here to close the gap. Now, if we do close that gap, it's not going to change the trend on this market. It's still short, and it just brings it back up into a value area where we may well start to see some weakness coming back in. So I think we've got some good structure here, some very key areas and key levels that I'll be keeping a very close eye on for those intraday trading opportunities. Now, if we come and take a look at the commodity markets and take a look at markets like gold, these are definitely benefiting from the move into risk havens, such as these sort of precious metals. Now, gold here has now started to move. We've sort of seen a big gap here to the long side on gold, and also we've got a rather interesting sort of level here. So if we just take a look at this level, this is the 158 level. This is a level that we were looking for, targeting just a couple of weeks ago on opportunities on gold. Now, at the moment, we have got a gap underneath price here. So the market hasn't quite closed the gap. It's tried to, but it hasn't quite closed it. In my view, if we see a bit of a push higher, then we could start to see a continuation. This is quite a significant sort of level here where the market's found resistance before. So clearly above that area, we could be seeing moves possibly up even to the 1.6 level. But again, if the market can't hold up above this level, then we could see a retracement back in to close that gap. And if we just take a look at this on the slightly sort of lower time frames, we can see that there is still a bit of distance here back into this sort of area here that would close that gap. So if we come and take a look at the currency markets now, I think one to keep an eye on is euro dollar. And euro dollar has now sort of weakened off significantly, where we've seen a sort of a break of these significant levels now around the sort of 110.80, and the market sort of moving quite nicely down to sort of close some of these trading windows. Now at the moment here on the daily chart, the market's still got plenty of distance to go to get down to this 1.1 level. I think that's the next sort of structure point here on the market. There's still distance here to go, even though that the things are looking a little bit sort of stretched on these higher time frames. If we come down to the mid time frames here, we can see that there is again some further sort of structure here where the market's clearly in a nice short trend, a fairly decent sort of quality trend as well. Again, a break below this sort of 110.20 level. If I just sort of zoom out of this, you'll see the levels a little bit more clearly. So you can see there's support and resistance through here. You can also see our 1.1 level underneath price, and there's sort of fairly decent size sort of trading window as the market's sort of breaking through this level now. Opportunities down to retest that 1.1 level, I think, is certainly the sort of things that we'll be looking for in the trading room. So there's a few markets there that we're keeping a close eye on going into the trading room at the start of this week. I certainly hope it helps and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.